Hey, welcome to the second episode on my El-Camino build. Today I jump into my LS motor and do some cam bearings. I'll show you how to use the Summit racing tool that I purchased. I had some complications along the way, so without further ado, let's get into it. So on this one, you can unscrew the driver and it should be able to fit between the webbing of the motor. And we'll start knocking all these bearings out. So let's go. Come on out. Okay, all the bearings are out. So I'm just gonna pull the tool out now and then clean it all up and come back to drive all the new ones into position. Well, that's the good thing about aluminum blocks. You can lift them nice and light. So what I'm gonna do is remove the back part from the stand. Then I can drive the front bearings in from this side. Then I can put it back in the stand and drive the back bearings in from the front side. I'll show you that. Probably seen this on the internet anyway, but they've got two holes in the bearings. There is only one hole inside your cam placement there. That's for the oil to come through the hole into your cam bearing. What you want to be sure of is that you're lining the hole up. So if you look this way, you see that hole is going to line up with the oil galley there. So what I've done is I've put a mark on the top center. So when I'm at this point and I'm driving in the bearing and I can't see it, you can see dead center there is some threaded portion. So if I line that up and drive it in, then my oil ways will line up. So that's what I'm doing on these two. And then, as I said, I'll put it back in the stand and drive the back three in. Okay? Positions for these bearings, you'll see it, they're labeled 25-1, 25-2, 25-3. Position is 1 and 5, 2 and 4, or 3. And hopefully this will focus in. If you look on the bearing itself, there is an indented number here, CH25-2. So this is the second position, also the fourth position. So that's how I'm keeping track of these bearings. And as I said, putting lines on the top to line up the oil passages. Okay, so there's the bearing marked the way I'm going to drive it in. Before I drive it in, I'm using red Loctite. Just added insurance. Doesn't hurt to have a little bit on there. It'll dry. Helps lube it up going in, and it'll dry and keep that bearing in position. So I'm just putting the tool through first. Then I'll put the bearing down inside the motor. Slide it on the tool. There we go. So hopefully you can see that, but the arrow is lined up top, dead center there. And then that way I know that my oil is lined up. Okay, so here we go. I'll drive that one in. Now hopefully when I smash this, the camera doesn't jump too much. If it does, well, you get the idea. Okay, and now I've just got the bearing seated, pulling the tool back to see how far in it is. There's some kind of witness marks, we'll call them that, from the previous bearings. So I know how far to drive it in. I got a little bit more to go on this guy. A little bit more. Yeah, looking good. Maybe one little tap. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. So now I can put this block back on the stand and drive in these three back bearings, and then we'll be all set. Okay, so front 3 bearings are in. Time for the back 2. So here's the benefit of the Summit tool. At least I hope. First time trying this, right? Let's see if it works. So I should be able to drop the tool down inside the webbing here. And then spin it so that I can put the bearing on. See how this goes. Really? Are you telling me this doesn't do it either? What the hell's going on? Come on, spin around. Saw it on the YouTuber. It's supposed to work. Back with you in a minute. Well, this is not going to work, folks. I guess there's a difference between the 5.3s and the 6.2s. So this is a smaller end, okay, than the rubber one that you get from Amazon, the expanders style. So I figured, oh, this will just drop down between. As you can see, it drops down between, and then you should be able to spin it, you would think, to get it to face the right way. Nope, it will not do it. No matter how I try and position that, I cannot get that to turn around. And if you look from above, it just will not fit through that webbing. Maybe it's the size of the bore on the 6.2, not sure. But I'm going to end up pulling this off the stand again and driving those last 2 bearings in from the outside, which means that when you're doing the last bearing in this case, you're going to have, you know, the rod hanging way out the end, which is how you end up with things somewhat crooked. So cross my fingers that this won't happen. Anyone has any suggestions, let me know, but that's the only way I can figure this out. Anyway, back off the stand and on the bench. What you can do is use a Allen key or something like that to check your oil. I mean, this one I can see, but generally I've been doing that all the way down the block just to double check. And you can see the Allen keys going right into the oil galley there, so it'll fill it this bearing with oil when the time comes. One last thing I will mention before I try the cam in here is I've changed the barbell out. This is a Moroso billet unit. It's got dual O-rings and it's got a little 4mm threaded back, so if you ever need to pull it out again, you just thread in and you can pop it out. So just another thing to point out when you're rebuilding these motors, don't miss that. Do the whole thing right, and you should only have to do it once. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see. Slide the cam in. Let's see if it actually spins this time. Okay, this is a Texas Speed Stage 4 cam that I snagged up. So just slide it in here. I'll relube it later. This is just a test. Actually really nice putting the cam in this way upside down without anything in the way. You don't really need to worry about, you know, some people put a handle on the end of the cam to kind of guide it in. You can actually just use both your hands here and guide it through. Stick your finger in the back of the cam. Give yourself the push you need to slide it in. So far so good. Let's see how it works. Okay, cam's home. Oh, look at that, spinning it by hand. Well, there you go, folks. New bearings, cam's in position. I can move it back and forth. Let's see if I can hold the camera up here while I do it with one hand. Okay, so you see the cam in there. I can spin it. I'm spinning it with my left hand while I'm holding the camera. So there you go. And I can slide it back and forth here. So, thanks for checking it out. Hopefully this helped you out. I don't know if it's a 5.3, 6.2 difference. Let me know in the comments below if you've had success taking the tool apart and sliding it through the webbing. Didn't work for me, but I've got success with the cam, so I'd say that's a win. All right, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.